This segment is brought to you by JigMasters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to JigMasters.com and use promo code PNF20 and save 20% off your next jig order today.
You're listening to Bass Fishing for Noobs on the Paddle and Fin podcast with your hosts Ryan Milford and Sean Lavery. Welcome back to Bass Fishing for Noobs on the Paddle and Fin podcast. I'm your host Ryan. We got our other host Sean.
Hey guys.
And tonight we have the winner of the jig tournament that I fished last weekend. And I should have asked you like how exactly to pronounce your last name before we did this, because I'm probably going to butcher it. But we got Timmy Synarong.
That's right.
Synarong?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. So we got Timmy Synarong. He's from around here in Tennessee as well, and we fished that local jigs only tournament, and he spanked everybody in that tournament. But yeah, welcome to the show, Timmy.
Hey, pleasure to be here.
For people that don't know you, would you want to tell a little bit more about yourself and all that good stuff?
Well, where do I start? I'm just a guy that enjoys fishing, That's about it. That's all I like to do. I've been kayak fishing tournaments for about 5 years now, I think, roughly. So, grew up here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Fished a lot of rivers, creeks, lakes, ponds, water.
What kind of boat do you fish out of?
I fish out of a Jackson Coosa FD for my lake tournaments, and I still have a Cuda 12 for floating the rivers.
Okay, cool. So a Jackson guy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are you on the Jackson team, or do you just like Jackson?
I just like Jackson. It's made in Tennessee, and that's my hometown.
I feel you. Hey, I've floated Jackson now myself. I didn't the other night because I'm working on a warranty claim, but everybody told me their customer service was top notch and they'd take care of me, and so far everything's been great. They're getting me all taken care of. But yeah, so one thing you didn't mention is you seem to like kill it in all these tournaments. You said you've been doing it for a while, but man, I in that group, I'm just now really getting into doing events with the group, but I've been in there for like a year or two, and I've seen your name quite a few times in there, placing high or winning. So we're going to talk a little bit about like what your strategy was in the jig tournament, and then we can get into some of the other techniques you use to win all the other tournaments. So,
okay.
All right, we had two boat ramps that we were allowed to launch from. One was the Fate Sanders Marina, one was the Stewart's Creek. I don't remember. I launched at the Marina, and I don't remember seeing you. Did you launch over there at Stewart's Creek?
Yes, I did. I launched at Stewart's Creek. I think there was 4 of us that launched there that night.
Okay. Yeah, I guess everybody went over to the Marina because we had several of us over there. So what was your approach going into it?
My approach was, it's a jig only tournament, so I'm gonna carry 5 rods, all jigs.
You didn't want to do no swapping then.
I didn't want to do no swapping. It's jigs. I fish them all. Jigs one of my favorite techniques to use.
It's usually one of mine too, but I've been swapping it up a little bit here lately.
Let's see. When we first launched out of Stewart's Creek, the wind was blowing right in that pocket, right at the boat ramp. I fished probably within 50 yards of the boat ramp because I marked a lot of fish in about 8 foot of water. And there's some brush piles set out in front of it. And I was actually swimming a hair jig. And that's what my first fish came off of, was within the third cast of lines in, was just that preacher jig right there, 1/2 ounce.
Wow. Okay.
Just,
You know, with the jigs only tournament, I didn't even think about a hair jig. You know,
I brought one because I wasn't sure too, and I forgot to ask yesterday. But I had one tied on, showed Ashley Cheney, and he said, "That's a jig." I said, "All right." If not, I was gonna cut it off and tie on the swim jig, another swim jig, a heavier one. But yeah,
Were you already pretty familiar with the area, or you just relied on mapping it to see what it was like?
I'm pretty familiar with that whole area, Priest in general,
Okay.
because this is pretty much my home lake.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and you know, something that I noticed the other night, you know, I've fished Stewart's Creek before, you know, it's a lot of rock, and from what I've seen, there's not a whole lot of anything else. There's a little bit of wood structure that I've seen, but not a whole lot. But it's a whole lot of rock out there. And you know, this was my first time ever fishing Fate Sanders Marina, and man, fishing there compared to the other places I fished on Priest, it was almost like a completely different lake. Like I've been saying for a while, like there's no grass on Percy Priest. You go over there in that little cove behind the marina, you know, there's some grass back there.
Oh
There's a decent amount of like wood structure back there too, and it was crazy because like I'm not used to that on that lake. You know, I'll fish. You know, even the Fate Sanders recreational area, there's none of that over there. You know, it's all rock. But so you say you were finding them in like 8 foot of water.
hmm
Were they like on bottom or suspended or?
They were suspended, but they were feeding heavily on shad because you could see the shad pop up. And that's when I saw the arches on my graph, I knew that either they're going to be striped or just a big school of bass. So I just threw out there and started hooking into them. I caught about, on that hair jig, I caught that 18 and a quarter big fish of the night within the first cast. So it takes that edge off, you know.
Oh yeah. Then the
That's
pressure's
one
off
thing.
and you can relax. Absolutely.
Man,
I caught 3 more on it within the first 15 minutes of the tournament. Those other 3 came off, but it didn't bother me after that.
you
Then
knew,
I got
you
hung
knew they
up.
were biting.
Yeah, and then got hung up in that brush pile that I was trying to swim over every time because they're like right there on the edges of that brush pile. I got hung up and I broke off in my only one.
Uh,
So then I canceled that plan and went across to some flats out there, and they were pushing shad on the flats because it was pretty windy that night. I think we were getting around 5 to 10 miles per hour wind.
Yeah, it was pretty windy. Like I, you know, like I said, I don't have my kayak right now, so I don't have pedal drive. I was borrowing my dad's kayak, and so I was having to paddle, and man, it was crazy trying to paddle and keep myself positioned while I cast and everything. I ended up having to go back in a little cove back there behind the marina and just to get out of the wind for a minute. But do what?
We'll talk about that other technique I used, and it cinched me some fish too.
What's that?
Whenever after I got done with fishing them on the hair jig, I went out and I used a micro finesse jig, Z-Man.
That's one of those. It's basically like a Ned rig head with the skirt on it, right?
Yes, sir. And this doesn't get hung up.
I almost, did that, but I didn't think it would be legal, so I didn't do it. I almost like made my own because I've seen them with that, and I've got skirt material where I used to make my own football jigs, and so I
Right.
was like, it wouldn't take much, just take some skirt material and put it on that Ned rig head, and there you go. So I almost did that, but I didn't think it'd be legal, so I didn't. Yeah, I'm lazy, so I didn't go. I didn't do it.
then were you just popping that, or were you swimming it, or what kind of retrieve did you use for that?
Well, when it's really windy, I'm really lazy. I just go ahead and I pedal out there, mark the fish in that area, pedal past them, and then let the wind make a long cast and let the wind work it for me.
Okay.
Then I'll move back up, and that
So you
way
just
there's no slack in my line.
yeah, and okay, that's really good. We were just talking about that the last episode, how when you cast into the wind, you get that huge bow in your line, and then you can't feel the bites. But that's a good strategy to avoid that. To just cast and then let the wind blow you back, take the slack out of your line, and cool.
The pedal drive actually, that is where it shines because you can actually control your drift a little bit easier without having to do the old-fashioned one-arm paddle. With
Yeah.
that
Oh yeah,
bit, you know.
absolutely, definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty smart. And, you were talking about that 18 and a quarter. My big fish was 18. You got me about a quarter inch. And I was like, man, I almost got a little bit of money. It's so close.
Yeah, man, I know my heart's been broken a few times like that, where you're so close and then you think you got it, and then a big 23 inch or 24 inch or whatever was at Kentucky Lake gets you big fish.
Oh
Well,
man.
everybody that I talked to that night while we were fishing seemed to have, bad luck. It seemed like it was a tough bite for a lot of people, other than you. But, a lot of people were like struggling. Like, I think one or two guys didn't have any fish, and then one guy had two smaller fish. And, I only had one fish for the longest time. I think I caught my second fish like within the last hour to hour and a half.
Okay.
And I got several bites, but it was like short strikes. And I was throwing a flipping jig, and then I was throwing a swim jig. But yeah,
Short
it
strikes.
yeah,
I know all
like
about
they're
them.
just little bumps. And you're like,
Mhm.
oh, and you're waiting for them to take it, but they don't.
Sometimes with them short strikes, especially if they're feeding on bait fish, I found out that if you just keep on reeling it like a swim bait, they'll come back and follow it. Sometimes some days they want it sitting there, but if they're keyed in on bait fish, I keep it moving. I just make that cast again in that same spot and just swim by them, kill it for a second, then pop it up. And then if they're just tapping it, I just keep on reeling. Because if they keep on tapping it, sooner or later they're going to get it.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of what I try to do. With a swim jig, I had like a swim bait trailer on there, and I pretty much work it like a steady, slow retrieve, and that's what I was doing. And they'd hit it. I might pause for like a second when they hit it, but then start reeling again.
Do you let it tap along the bottom, or are you keeping it up in the water column?
It would touch the bottom a little bit, but then I'd try to like get it up a little bit and stay up just a little bit off the bottom.
Okay.
That might have been my downfall there. Maybe it would have been better having contact with the bottom and it bouncing off stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, all my jigs, like you can see that jig right there. They ain't got no
Yeah.
paint on the head.
Yeah.
So color, to me, the jig head color don't really matter because mine are bouncing that bottom hard. I love it tapping.
Yeah, with like a flipping jig or something like that, it's pretty much constant bottom. I used to be one of those big on like popping it, but I don't really pop it a whole lot anymore unless I'm like I get hung up on something, I'll kind of pop it over it. But a lot of the time I just kind of slowly drag it. What's your technique for that? Do you do a lot of popping with it, or?
It all depends if I'm swimming it, like swimming it through, like if I'm fishing Old Hickory, I swim a flipping jig quite a bit. I like the Ike mini flip on Old Hickory because I can swim it and it has a really heavy head. So whenever you kill it, it just goes straight down. Then I pop it back up and it goes up. Then it goes down. It goes. It's like a bluegill going through the water. when they're fishing around them docks and just lay down brush. You get some big bites out there for me.
Okay.
But then if I'm on Priest, I'm a dragon. I'm a dragon jig all day. Main points, flats, football head jig, 1/2 ounce. If it's real windy, I go to 3/4. If I'm fishing 20 feet plus, 3/4, maybe even 7/8 or 1 ounce, just so I can maintain that contact. Or I go down in line size.
Okay.
With a lighter wire hook.
And what kind of line do you usually throw on?
For a football head jig?
Yeah.
Well,
for your
pound.
dragon, 15 pound.
Oh, yeah, about
fluoro.
15 pound, but fluoro, 100%.
Okay.
I will go down to 12 pound too.
Really?
Yeah. Just to keep it down.
I don't know if I've, heard anybody fishing a jig on that light of line. Especially that heavy of a jig. I throw my jigs on like 20-pound fluoro, and I'm scared to go lower than that. Maybe 15. I could feel all right with, but I don't know if I could go much lower than that.
17 pound, 20 pound is what I typically swim with fluorocarbon. When I'm fishing around brush and everything, but when I'm out there just on the big point,
dragging it,
15 pound, 12 pound, it gets down there, you can feel your jig on the bottom. And even with the current's not like slicing your line, pushing your line. To me, it just feels right. It feels better. But I do go with a little bit softer rod though, with the medium heavy, with a little bit more of a fast action, moderate fast, somewhere around there.
Yeah, see, I generally throw mine on a medium heavy, but I just got a new rod, and it's one of those Duckett Jacob Wheeler edition, and it's a heavy, but to me it don't really feel like a heavy, not the heavies. I mean, but granted, I'm used to like cheaper rods, and that lesser quality, so maybe it's something in that because. And I'm just not used to a better quality rod, but to me it just don't feel heavy. It feels more medium heavy or closer to it. But so what's some other techniques that are you throwing a jig most of the time in regular tournaments, or you got like some other techniques you like to use?
Let's see. I throw a jig probably at least. Every tournament I throw a jig, but my other techniques I use is a shaky head. 1/8 ounce head with the Ultra Point shaky head. That's my favorite shaky head. 1/8 ounce 3/16 with a Senko, 5-inch Senko on it.
Okay.
And sometimes a robo worm if I'm fishing for some smallmouth.
I was going to say a Senko is probably not going to give you a ton of action. I guess some, but not as much as a robo worm, obviously.
Well, on Priest on a weekend or on Old Hickory, you got so much boat traffic.
Yeah, that is
It gives
true.
me all the action I need. I'm there bobbing like a bobber out there.
Okay.
Yeah, especially this coming up weekend, well, I guess this episode won't come out till Monday, so 4th of July will be done and over with. So happy late 4th, everybody. but yeah, so what do you throw the shaky head on? Because that's something that I don't really throw. It's something I've thought about, trying out more. Like what's your setup for that?
My spinning gear setup is I'm set up on what is it? 683 Dobbin Sierra, which is a 6'8" medium action rod, but it's more like a medium light. And I have it on 10-pound braid with either a 7-pound fluorocarbon leader or a 12-pound fluorocarbon leader, depending on what's down on the bottom. And that's my rod for all my finesse techniques. So
I was going to say, that sounds similar to my finesse setup. So,
Jimmy Skinner here on the podcast probably likes you with the Dobbins rod.
Yeah.
So how exactly are you working that? Like with a shaky head, do you drag that, or give them some pops, or?
I let the fish tell me, because, like I said, I do wind drag a lot to find the area of fish.
Okay.
I drag across the point, let the wind drag me across it, and then I'll make casts at targets that I know that are in the water, like a big rock pile in 15 foot of water, and just work it there. And I will just, if there's no wind or nothing, I will shake my rod tip just very slightly. And sometimes I give it one big hop and just let it sit back down.
So what kind of fish finder are you using? Because you seem to, you've said quite a bit that you're, looking on it. So you got to have a much better one than I have.
I have a Lowrance Elite TI9.
Okay. So yeah, that's a pretty big fish finder there. I got the Lowrance Hook 2 4X, so it's small.
I have the 5-inch version of the TI, so it's similar but much smaller.
Yeah.
I run side scan and down imaging and 2D sonar, but if I'm not running 2D sonar, I'll be running maps till I get to a spot. Once I get to a spot, then I'll turn on my 2D sonar, and I'd probably turn off my charts if I'm familiar with the area. If I'm not, I keep the charts on to try to follow the contour lines. Look for changes in depths, rock piles, because with the side scan and moving like 2 miles an hour, you can see all what's next to you, and you can make those casts and feel those rocks, or throw my search bait is actually a wobble head.
That's definitely something I got to get better at, is coordinating what I see on my graph with where I'm throwing. I'm still definitely learning that.
Yeah, I don't have side scan or down scan, and I still do not really know what I'm looking at on just my sonar. So, I'm starting to get a little better with it, but yeah, that's something I need to work on, or just need to buy a side scan and then work on it. Yeah.
I think before I had a Raymarine Dragonfly, and it with chirp, that actually taught me a lot about down scan. It's one of the more affordable units, and it's crystal clear. Down scan is beautiful. 2D sonar is beautiful. Mats, unless you buy a map card, but that was like one of the most user-friendly graphs I ever used. Then I got this Lowrance because I wanted a bigger screen and I wanted to get side scan. And I think I got that last year, and I've been just playing with it the whole time throughout the winter.
Now,
drop shotting.
Now, being the 9, that's 9-inch, right?
Mm-hmm.
But before I make myself sound stupid, I wanted to clarify that. All right, so having something that big right there in front of you, does that ever get in the way of you, while you're trying to fish?
Truthfully, no. With that Coosa FD, I'm sitting up so high that all my casts cleared, and I just got used to it. It's actually never been a problem with me. The only thing that ever got in my way is having a net behind me, fishing, hanging lure on there.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah, man, I've got some horror stories of hanging stuff behind me. That's why, I've hung rods before that were standing up, trying to cast overhead, and I ended up like knocking. When I did it, it somehow knocked my hat and my sunglasses off my head into the water. I was able to grab my hat, but the sunglasses are at the bottom of the lake now. That was over at Williamsport.
Oh, man.
But that's why on my crate now, all my rods lay horizontally. But that cost me a rod because I was fishing a 444 back in like April. up on Old Hickory, and the wind was really bad, and it blew one of those rods out of my rod holder.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me ask you, do those sunglasses fall so slow that you feel like you can still grab them?
I like
I've lost like 3 pair on the lake, man.
yeah,
And they all seem to fall so slow.
the Titanic music starts playing. but yeah, it was like they were right there, and like I should still be able to reach them, but I can't reach them anymore. But I can still see them, and
Yep.
but it wasn't really about the glasses. They were like $5 Walmart polarized sunglasses, so it wasn't that I cared much about the glasses. It was I had just started fishing for the day, pretty much. Like we were like 10 minutes in, and I knew I wasn't gonna have sunglasses the rest of the day, and it was like about well, I think it was like early June last year. So it was gonna be warmer and it was bright and sunny. So yeah, I
Let's see.
got blinded by the sun that day.
I had a day like that. I had just bought my first what's the crazy expensive jerkbait, Megabass. My first Vision, and probably 2 casts in, beginning of the day, the knot broke, and there went my Vision just flying. And it was real early in the morning yet, so when it's in the morning and it's still like not sunny out, I put my sunglasses on top of my hat, and I totally forgot they were up there. So I just lost the jerkbait, and I took my hat off and went, ugh, and I threw my sunglasses right in the lake. I was like, I'm just gonna turn around and paddle back to the ramp because this day is not going my way.
Hey, a lot of the time those days actually turn out to be the best days.
It really wasn't too bad. I did catch some fish and made up for it, but definitely not the way I wanted to start the day. And those weren't cheap sunglasses either. So that was an expensive day on the water.
Yeah, if I would have done that with my Oakleys,
That's actually what they were.
Oh.
I cried a little. Especially because it was my own fault. But anyhow.
Yeah.
So you said you drop shot too, or you did drop shot to learn your sonar, or to. So that's another thing that I need to get better at too. I just feel like I'm not finding fish when I do that. I feel like even if I mark them, I'm like, I don't have confidence that I'm dropping it right on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it takes a little bit to get your 2D sonar like fine-tuned where you can actually see your line, your lure, your weight.
Oh, okay.
So you're actually looking for your lure and everything on your fish finder.
Right. I do that probably in the winter months, more like November, December. To Mickey rig a little bit. Pretty much the same thing. You're using your graph and you're looking at your lure.
Okay.
And you don't need an expensive graph.
I don't know if I've ever even seen my lure on there. Maybe I didn't know what I was looking at.
You'll raise it up and you'll see a streak, a line going straight through down to your arches.
Okay.
Whatever you're seeing on the bottom, because if you're sitting still, you'll see arches just streak across the bottom or off the bottom. You watch your lure come down.
Okay.
And then once it hits the bottom, you lift your rod, and then you can see your lure come up.
Okay.
And drop it. Lift up, drop it. Then you know that
you're in the right spot. Lure. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I'll definitely have some things to play with now.
Yeah, that's interesting. What?
Rigs are a good place to practice.
Why didn't Hank Rogers ever tell us that?
Yeah, I know, right?
Come on, Bass Geek.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to have an expensive graph either.
That's what I always thought. I always thought, because I've seen people talk about seeing their lures and watching the fish come over and, oh, there he is, boop, got him, But I always thought it was, he's probably got like a Helix Ultra Vision or whatever the heck those crazy top end ones are.
No. You could have done it on the old fashioned Mark 5. As long as you can see the arches, you
I'm
just adjust
definitely
your
gonna have to play with that. Yeah. Interesting. Now I'm looking forward to getting back out and trying that.
Yeah, now I want to upgrade my fish finder. Oh man. So any other, techniques you feel like you've pretty much mastered or, really good at? Or
Well,
pretty much stick to
I throw that wobble head quite a bit. That's my search bait.
now what are you meaning by wobble head? Like what
It's like a
Like a
jig
free
where
jig.
the
Right.
what?
Do I have one on me?
I'm
No,
talking
I
about
don't.
like a swing head jig.
Yeah,
Yeah.
swing head jig.
Okay.
Yeah,
Use that as a search bait?
yeah. I fish it like half ounces in 3 foot, 2 foot of water, 4 foot, 5 foot, 3/4, a little bit deeper, 10 foot, 10 foot to I think deepest I like is about 15 for the 3/4. 1 ouncers in 20 to 30 foot.
And what is
That
that?
is-
What's different about that than a regular jig for you? Like is it the way you work it or just
I'm casting out, reeling as fast as I can,
okay.
hitting the rocks, just bouncing the rocks as hard as I can.
Interesting. Okay.
What trailer are you putting on there?
I throw either a Strike King rodent or a beaver, 4 1/4, big beaver, just a big beaver style bait. Green
Interesting.
pumpkin.
Your fishing techniques, I just want to go on record saying like blow my mind. Like I don't know, like the stuff that you're saying that you do, I've been doing this podcast for like almost a year now, or right at a year now, and talking to different people every single week, and the stuff you say you do is completely different than what I hear most people say, and that might be why you've been so successful, with all your like wins and high finishes, because you're doing something a little different. But it's like kind of like mind-boggling, like to hear somebody say like a beaver style bait, working it, reeling it as fast as you can, because that's something I would generally think would be like something worked slowly or slower,
Like a pitching or flipping bait, right?
Yeah.
No, it's a search bait for me. I cast it out. If you slow down with the heavier weight, you're gonna get hung up. So you need to move it fast with the. I like a extra fast action because it'll hit them rocks and not load up your rod. So it just hits the rocks and just bounces off. Hits the rocks, bounces off. And I'm fishing that with 20-pound fluorocarbon. Otherwise, because once you set into them, you have to force them in as fast as you can because they'll throw that joker quick.
Now, what's the gear ratio you're throwing that with? Like
7-3-1, or that
so
way you
it's
still have, you still have that drag that you need. You ever have a fish just stop you and you can't crank even though you tighten it up?
My PB, my PB was on a flipping jig, and I pretty much had my drag, as tight as it would go. I always keep it real tight on my jig rod, and I was reeling, but the spool wasn't spinning.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, so that's still like a fast reel, and you said you're reeling that about as fast as you can. That's crazy.
That's how I cover water though. I'm pedaling and I'm throwing it out there, and I'm just, if I get hung up a little bit, then I just pedal to it and I keep on working down the bank. And that's just how I typically cover water on any rocky lake like Priest. But it's done good for me out at Old Hickory too, because if you find rock on Old Hickory, it might be, or deeper rock on Old Hickory, that could be a game changer too, besides the grass.
See, you're going to make some of the other guys in KBFTN mad, telling me all this stuff, because I'm in the 444 championship, and we're doing it Friday, And I might have to use some of your techniques to go out and whoop them. You know, Adam Reiser, Derek Bostic, Daniel Morris. Yeah, I'm coming for you guys. But I'm gonna get smoked so bad.
Did they announce where it's gonna be at?
No, we all had to throw out a thing, and Shane's gonna randomly pick one of the ones that we mentioned. So we still haven't determined that. All we know is Friday 6 a.m.
Yeah, man. That I normally fish the 444s quite a bit, but I was on second shift, so I couldn't get in any of them.
Well, that stinks.
See, I just now went back to work for the first time in 3 months, so I fished the last two, and I skunked in the first one, and the second one I somehow managed to win. Part of it I think had to do with me pre-fishing like 2 or 3 days the week before, and nobody else had been fished out there in a long time. So.
Oh. Well, nowadays I got 3 kids and I don't get to pre-fish as often as I used to.
Right.
So I have to go out with everything and just throw everything and use my electronics to try to find fish.
How long do you throw something before you change it up? Like,
maybe a good 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and I'll change up to something different.
Okay.
Especially if I don't know what's going on.
And then just keep changing until you hit one, and then see if that forms a pattern. I guess.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
shaky head always gets a bite. That lure will always get a bite on a point. Well, not always, but that's a confidence lure.
Okay.
You can fish it pretty fast too if you fish the 3/16 head with the 5-inch Senko, because it goes down quick and it just moves quick.
Gotcha. Yeah, I never even thought of putting a Senko on there because, like I said, I didn't think it had enough action. But I guess, like you said, if you're bobbing and moving, it's gonna have all the action it needs.
Yeah, and there is a lot of boat traffic out there on that lake.
Yeah.
I actually almost got ran over by a wake boat pulling a skier last time I was out. When I was doing my my Spring Madness bracket tournament against Sam. I was out there kind of between Fate Sanders Wreck area and Lamar Hill boat ramp.
Yeah.
And I was fishing a hump that's off of the channel a little bit.
Yep.
And you probably know the exact hump I'm talking about.
Yeah.
This guy came, was coming along and came out of the channel and like came around and went right in front of me. And like my kayak's in here doing this. Yeah. And I had a few choice words for him, but man,
this boat traffic gets kind of crazy, but I've been doing this for a few years and it don't really bother me that much. I actually enjoy the boat traffic and sometimes it gets me more bites.
Okay.
I've heard that. I
want that boat to come by me, if I'm fishing a bluff wall, to push that shad and let him hit against that. It will get me a bite. But I just don't get too close to that bluff wall because they'll slam me against it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Just a little bit now. I'm not talking about like nonstop. Every now and then a boat comes through, it breaks up the monotony, especially on a really clear and just calm day. It adds a little bit of extra.
Yeah, you don't want to be just constantly churning. That gets old quick.
Yeah, water gets a little bit too dirty for my liking.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. You said you've been doing kayak tournaments for about 5 years. How long have you been bass fishing?
Bass fishing, Probably since I was about 15 years old. As a kid, I didn't really bass fish. I fished for catfish, crappie, striper, you know, food fish.
Yeah.
I just always seen bass fishing on ESPN. I said, man, I want to do that. But so I got my license and was able to work and buy my own rods and everything. Then I started bass fishing.
Are you about to say something, Sean?
I was gonna say I wish I would have started that young.
Yeah, me too. I didn't really start bass fishing until I was about 24, and up until like last year, I completely sucked at it, and I still suck at it, but I'm a little bit better now. But
No.
do what?
Oh, I was gonna tell you like the other technique I used was I spy bait a little bit on priest on big deep points, and that's just casting wine.
Just count it down and cast it out, count it down, and where you think they are, and then start reeling in.
Yep.
Slow and
Just
steady.
Slow and steady on towards your what is it? Lower end of the lake, towards the dam.
Okay.
That's where all the clear water is for that stuff.
Yeah, that's one technique I don't know if we've ever had anybody really talk about on here. And, I hear about it, but I'm really not too sure what it is, to be honest.
I'm working on a guy. I have a really good guy that I heard on Alex Rudd's podcast, so I'm hoping he will come on and talk to us about that. So
it ain't a technique that I use quite a bit because the waters around here aren't like crystal clear.
Yeah.
But on the big points and they're pushing shad and everything else every night, not shad but shiners. Around May, you have a shiner spawn going on around that end of the lake, and you'll see them come up against the bluffs, and that spy bait. You can work it parallel bluff and work it, or you work it on the main points. And it does really well out there.
Now, you said you have a boat for lakes and a boat for rivers. What do you do more of? Like, if you're just going out, fun fishing, what would you prefer to do?
I'd prefer to float a river with Derek and Josh.
Do you go up to Duck River with them?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Okay. See, I need to get out there with y'all because I live right here, like 5 minutes from the Duck River. I'm in Chapel Hill.
Okay.
Yeah, I've actually had Josh Stewart on here before, and we've talked about going sometime. We just ain't been able to do it. But like I finally fished the Duck River, and now it's like that's where I want to go. That's where. So I'm gonna have to get with y'all sometime and go float with y'all. Let y'all teach me a thing or two.
It's like hit and miss some days on there. I do like me. I'm in Murfreesboro, so I float the stones quite a bit. Just paddle up, paddle down.
Yeah.
It's got some good smallmouth in there.
I've caught one smallmouth out of stones. It was up there at West Fork.
Mm-hmm.
One I've really seen come out. Uh-oh. Did we lose you, Sean?
No, you froze up on me there for a sec, but
Yeah.
You're back now.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have video on you. So what do you use the same techniques with river fishing, or do you like have some other stuff you use for that?
River fishing. It's I keep like there's 4 main baits I throw in the river. I throw a whopper plopper, a jig, spinner bait, and a weightless Senko. Those are and that's all you pretty much need.
Yeah, you speaking my language with the whopper plopper. Yeah, I actually haven't hardly thrown the whopper plopper this year. That's what everybody made fun of me for throwing so much last year, but I ain't hardly even threw it this year. I've been on a underspin kick.
Oh, okay.
But So how?
What size you like to throw? That's the thing.
What I've been throwing is like a 3/16. It's like the weighted hook style,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a 3/16 with a 3/0 hook, putting like a 3.8 Kitech on there.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been pretty successful with that. Like, I've talked about it almost every episode now. It's the new Whopper Plopper for me.
'Cause I throw the 4.8 Kitech quite a bit for a big bite.
Yeah.
But I don't ever throw the spinner on it because I always had issues with it getting hung in grass.
Well, see, that's
So
the thing. The ones that I've been using don't hardly get hung up because a lot of your underspins have that wire hanging down.
yeah.
These don't have that. These has a swivel. Like, say this is the weight on the weighted hook. The swivel comes right out of the back of it, and then the blade's attached to. Do I? I got one right here. Yeah, see that? I don't know how well you can see it, but that swivel comes right out of that weight right there, and then the blade's connected directly to it, so it don't get hung up as much and stuff. I can throw it in grass or pretty much anywhere I want, and it's pretty weedless. But yeah, that's the Wicked Weights, Wicked Willow, and yeah, I've been having quite a bit of success on it. I even, that's what I was mainly throwing when I went to the Duck River not long ago, and I did decent on there. But
Yeah.
Do you ever spy bait in the rivers, or because I was thinking my rivers are clearer than the lakes are around here, and I was wondering how that would work.
I don't really spy bait in the rivers so much. I throw like small swim baits and flukes.
Okay.
Just for spy baiting, I like it. I like them to come up and look at deep water. But
I got
I'll try it though. You never know.
you.
well, in the section of Duck River that y'all fish, what's the average depth there? Because it really threw me off when Josh Stewart first got his bite FD, and he said he was going to put it in Duck River. I'm like, you're going to put a pedal drive in Duck River? I feel like that's too shallow. And he's like, no, it's plenty deep enough. So what's the average depth that y'all are fishing out there?
Average depth is probably like 9 foot, 10 foot.
Okay, so
then
that
you got shoaly area, but not much of it. Not in that area.
see that's a little different, I think, from the area I'm fishing, because it's there might be a little bit of like deeper water, but I think you can pretty much stand in pretty much all the water that I put in at Henry Horton Park and paddled like a mile and a half upriver and floated back, and
Okay.
it was all like there wasn't many places deeper than like 5 foot that I saw. But yeah, I might have to try that little bit deeper area.
Well, that's the average depth of the whole stretch. 'Cause you're doing a float that could be 6 miles, 7 miles.
Yeah.
You got to have areas that a pedal drive won't be useful at all.
Yeah. I figured some areas, you'd have to bring it up and paddle a little bit, but how long of floats do y'all usually do?
Sun up to pitch black at night.
Wow.
Y'all going all day then?
That sounds
It's all
fun.
day.
That sounds
Yeah.
like a lot of fun.
I'd love to, find somewhere where I can do like an overnight trip where, you just park on the side of the river somewhere, make camp, and then pack back up the next day and float some more. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah. Just, you got to be very sneaky around here. Do that. Camp on an island or something or know somebody.
Yeah, because
To me,
pretty much.
as long as you take care of that area, it's not going to be bad.
A lot of that area is like privately owned along the banks, ain't it?
Hmm. Even I think when I went out to East Tennessee to fish the Holston, they own the actual islands in the middle of they own the riverbed.
Really?
So if there's an island in the middle in East Tennessee, they'll farm it. That's their land to farm.
There's definitely islands in the Susquehanna that people own and live on or have at least have places on. So
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't know people could actually own islands.
It's probably just an old law or something. But East Tennessee is a whole lot stricter than Middle Tennessee and West Tennessee about water rights, land rights. Now Georgia's nice. Every bridge you could pull off and fish off of.
Well, is it like state owned all around that bridge or something?
Yeah, in Georgia.
wow, that's really cool.
So you could even, say like, if you wanted to carry your kayak down, you could even put in at any bridge, right?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
That'd be cool.
Over here it's like private.
Yeah, that's how it is here too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I need to go to Georgia. But yeah, man, you got anything to add before we start wrapping this up? Or Sean, you got any more questions? Or
I can't think of anything, man. But yeah, tons of good info. I can't wait I'm anxious to get out and try a few of those things, definitely, for sure. And hopefully now, now that you've put it out there, what you're using, it'll still work for you.
It's not all out there.
Okay, good.
oh, you're holding back on us, man?
Yeah, it's not all out there.
Well, but no, I appreciate you coming on here, and congratulations about the other night on the jig tournament. I was a little salty about you beating my big fish by a 1/4 inch, but it is what it is. But I had fun out there, and you were nice enough to share your jigs with me. And,
oh yeah.
I appreciate that. But yeah, thanks for coming on. You got any like sponsors or shout outs or social media you want to shout out for people listening?
Oh, not at all, man. I don't have any sponsors. I'm just a guy that likes to go out and fish.
I feel you.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on here, and I'm sure I'll see you out on the water some more this year. I plan on fishing with KBFTN a little more this year.
Okay. Hey.
Yeah, thanks, Timmy. It was nice meeting you, man.
Hey, it's a pleasure being on the show. Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap things up here then, guys. Thanks for tuning in. This has been the Bass Fishing for Noobs segment on the Paddle and Fin podcast. We're bringing you the techniques, the tricks, and the tips to help you rip more lips. Thanks, guys.
Later.
Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode on Paddle and Fin. Don't forget to go check out our website at paddle_and_fin.com. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel at Paddle and Fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest on a future episode, feel free to email us at paddle_and_fin@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Paddle and Fin on Facebook and Instagram. Shout out to our show supporters, Angler. The Angler button and app just makes for a better time on the water and creates a virtual logbook for every fishing outing out on the water. Shout out to Rocktown Adventures, located in northern Illinois, for all your kayaking, camping, and hiking needs. TRC Covers, protect your investment. Ketch Products, shout out to Ketch Products. Go to ketchproducts.com and put the Paddle and Fin logo directly on your catch board. Shout out to JigMasters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to JigMasters.com, use promo code PNF20 and save 20% on all your jig and tackle needs.